The Emperor's saints are mysterious beings, the origins of which are often speculated at. Some say they are demons created of his will, warp entities created of a shard of his power, much like how the dark gods create demons. When a saint enters a war zone, the tides of battle change. As if by his will alone, fate begins to move towards his vision. Victory edges closer as these heroes, bringers of holy flame and divine destruction. For a saint, entering the battle is not just a desperate last measure sent forth by the Imperium to stem the tide of a losing war. It is a manifestation of the Emperor's protection and wrath, seeking the ruination of his foes. The motives of the saints are known only to themselves and the Emperor. When they arrive, they may not seem to be working with Imperial forces at all, for they follow his guidance rather than any military hierarchy. This has caused many an Imperial to view them with skepticism. This is especially true with more dubious factions within the Imperium. We get a profound insight into how different factions in the Imperium view the arrival of a saint when a saint descends on the fortress hive Endurance in the book Shroud of Night, an impressive bastion of Imperial might commanded by Canoness Lavinia and a considerable garrison of Adepta Sororitas. The sisters are further reinforced by Imperial fists led by Captain Daisorian and other Imperial assets. When sensors pick up an object burning through the upper atmosphere, Space Marines, sisters and tech priests alike scramble to figure out what it is. I have been charged with the defense of this entire hive, and I do not intend to fail in my duty because of some obstreperous... The captain's words were drowned out amidst the sudden wailing of alarm hymnals. The shrine's electro-scones strobed a deep blood red, and spools of rune-covered parchment began to spill from the chattering databanks behind Corfix. Daisorian and his brothers reached for their weapons, while the Fulgurite priests hefted their staves, looking for enemies. "Magos!" shouted Daisorian over the booming alarm. "Are we under attack?" "Insufficient data," replied Corfix. His emitter's volume increased to painful levels. "Pravas, I want you to commune with whatever sensor inputs and vox channels you can. Gather information and compile. Lydanis, ensure that all battle brothers are in a state of full combat readiness and patched into Channel 7 Aleph. Be as swift as you can, Pavros. We need information now." As his battle brothers followed his orders, Daisorian sent a priority vox hail to Canoness Lavinia via the hive's hard-ended Supreme Command channel. This was her city, her order's world. If anyone had a clear view of what was occurring, it would be her. Daisorian did not have to wait long for a response. The Canoness's voice filled his ear, stern and sharp as cut glass. "Captain Daisorian." "Honored Canoness, I assume that alarms are also sounding in the spire. Are we under attack?" "We seek revelation on that matter even now, brother Captain. There appears to be a single visible contact high up on the very edge of the Auspex net, beyond the Tempestosphere." "Ordnance?" asked Daisorian. "Some form of cyclonic warhead or viral payload?" "Unlikely, brother Captain. The scryers inform me that it is moving too slowly and appears too small to be a warhead." "I've little patience for mysteries," growled Daisorian, turning away from the muttering priests and hastening back down the steps of the shrine. Minutes later, he led his battle brothers out onto an external rampart several levels above the shrine's armored dome. Daisorian hurried into the watery daylight of the Zadrikan dawn. The hive wall stretched vertiginously above and below. Waves boomed distantly against the city's lower slopes, while salt-wet winds howled around the rampart, causing its supports to creak and groan. There were Skitari arrayed neatly along the rampart's firestep, the teleportarium well below and the armoured battlement to their fore. The Mechanicus soldiery was staring up into the churning clouds, fusils and rad carbines at the ready. Daisorian ignored them and gripped the rungs of a ladder set into the hive's metal hide. He climbed quickly, skirting a huge stained glass window until several hundred feet up he reached a sloping roof. Showing none of his 3 centuries, Daisorian clambered up onto a roof between antenna and thrumming sensor dishes, ignoring the sickening drop and screaming winds that plucked at him. Still, the hive loomed up and up above them. Pravas and Lydanis followed, as fearless and tireless as their captain. The lieutenant had unsung his bolt rifle while Pravas was checking the charge of his plasma pistol. "If something is coming, better to see it for ourselves." So saying, he clamped his helm in place and magnified his optics to maximum. Running through visual filters, the captain scanned the clouds until, at last, he caught sign of a golden glow swelling into being. "Not a warhead," voxed Pavras. "It almost looks like—" "It's a person," said Lidanis. "Armored, female. Are those wings?" "It looks like an angel of the Emperor," breathed Disorian. "No such thing. What trickery is this?" At last his hail to Canoness Lavinia was answered, a choral chime giving way to a clear channel. "Brother Captain, we are blessed," she said, and in her voice Disorian heard a note of rapture that made him wary. "Vid capture and archival interrogation confirm it. Her aspect, the blade she wields, the way in which she descends from the clouds on high in the hour of our greatest need. Captain Disorian, this is Celestine, the Emperor's living saint."